So I've already failed with my fall greeting. I'm gonna do better because I only have like 2 months to use it. So happy fall, y'all. I'm very excited for today's video and I get to say something that I haven't said in a very long time. I have another scary story for you guys. And it's even better because it's Tia's story. And there's more. This was a story that Tia actually wrote for her father. His birthday's October 8th, and I think I'm uploading this video on October 9th, so happy belated birthday. I know he's a huge supporter of Tia's stories, and I know that he likes watching these videos and hearing his daughter's stories brought to life, and I'm so happy that I get to do this and I get to read the story that was dedicated to him. You guys know I always love Tia's stories. They're always incredible, and so every time she sends me another one, I get way too fucking excited. And she even said that she's gonna send me another story that's more Halloween related. I'm spoiled. I don't deserve this. I haven't read a story like this in a long time and I'm thinking I should move locations to get comfortable because that's what I normally do. But I just love sitting here. The lighting is so fucking good. It makes me look good no matter what. Also, I cut my bangs again because I hate myself. I get bored and it sounds like a good idea. And honestly, I like them when they're styled, but they are just annoying. And I did what I did the first time where I start cutting them and they're like a little bit too short and I'm like, fuck, I gotta hide them now. So I pull the long piece from over here and I mask them, you know, just a little bit of a life hack. If you hate your bangs, just take a long piece and put it in front of them and you'll never know the difference. I just turned really country right there. Okay, let's get started. I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna stay in this location, and if I'm absolutely miserable out of my mind, I will move. So if I randomly move in the middle of this video, I apologize. But this story is called Seeing Red is More Than You Think. October 2017, Seminole, Florida, 1:30 to 2 a.m. Rich, I already told you, I'm not going to the reunion, I said, holding my phone between my ear and shoulder as I poured myself another glass of iced tea. Come on, Jim, you haven't been back to Mass in years. It'll be good for you to catch up with the family, my brother Richard replied. But there's no point for me. Yeah, our cousins and high school friends will be there, but Tia moved to California 2 years ago, and Patrick and Lila live down the street from me now. My children and granddaughter would be the only reason for me to go back. Alright, if you change your mind though, let me know. It's still a month away, and I'd have plenty of time to buy you a ticket. Okay, brother. Love you. Good night. I hung up before taking another sip of my iced tea. Opening up my front screen door, I noticed how light it was on my front porch, even though it was the middle of the night. I looked to my right, and my garage's security light. It was off. My street was quiet, as always, and the one street light above the mailbox didn't even come close to the porch, nor was it bright enough to even light up the driveway. Setting my drink down on my chair, I stepped out from the cover of my porch and tilted my head up, thinking maybe the moon was responsible for how light my surroundings were. My breath caught in my throat, eyes widening as the source of the light roared over my head, a strong heat burning my cheeks and singeing my eyebrows. Then, a loud explosion sounded from behind me. I jumped from the sound and vibration of the impact and barely had time to blink, let alone process what was going on, when dirt began raining down onto my tender cheeks. I was brought back to reality when my truck's alarm started going off. Multiple holes spread across the windshield from rocks and debris. What the fuck? My lip quivered slightly as I glanced back and forth from my truck to my house, trying to wrap my head around what was happening. Adrenaline pumped harshly through my veins as I rounded my home, looking for signs of any excessive damage, luckily finding nothing but dirt, and I raised my hand to run my fingers across the black substance that clung to the sides of my home. Ash? I slowly turned my head to the right, peering into my backyard. Small patches of fire littered the ground. A palm tree was broken in half, the top half submerged in my pool. My shed was nothing but pieces of wood now, and behind those pieces of wood, I noticed a faint red glow. Don't do it, Jim. You know what happens in movies. If you go over there, something bad could happen, I said as I began moving towards the glow. This is stupid. Really fucking stupid. You're 49 years old. You don't need any more shit in your life. I hissed as a burning sensation stabbed my foot. I raised my leg to take a look and found a hole burnt through the bottom of my shoe. Looking back down on the ground, there was a dark, lumpy rock where my foot had been. Thinking I better not touch it, I kicked it into my pool, and it made a sizzling sound as it sank. Really, really fucking stupid, I sighed as I continued making my way to the glow, making sure to pay extra attention to where I stepped. I was now 5 feet away, and my palms were itching with anticipation. As I moved closer, the red glow seemed to grow brighter, and looking back on it now, I probably should have paid more attention. I should have turned back when I could no longer hear my truck's alarm or smell smoke, and I definitely should have turned back when I began to cry uncontrollably, but couldn't stop my feet from moving forward. I outstretched my hand to touch the darkness with the glow, and managed to stay conscious long enough for my fingertip to touch the surface before the most intense, heavy wave crashed over my body. It was like a refrigerator was leaning against my back. My body began to fall forward, and the last thing I saw was the red glow. Jim? Ugh. Jim. My head is pounding. Hey, Jimbo. Is someone calling me? Jim. Ugh, I yelled, sitting up straight. It took me a few moments as my vision cleared from my sleepy fog before I realized I was in my bed. Panting, I look over to the person responsible for my startling awakening. Red Sox baseball cap, brown eyes, low and bushy eyebrows, pointed nose, and 5 o'clock shadow. Tony, my best friend of over 25 years. Damn, Jimbo, are you alright? You're sweating buckets, and you look as pale as a sheet. Huh? Yeah, dude, I'm alright. I breathed out. I think I was just in a real deep sleep or something. Maybe it was all just a dream. Yeah, well, it looks like you had a nightmare or something. Well, he wasn't wrong. Come on, Jimbo, up and at him. Otherwise, the boss is gonna have both our asses. You're already an hour and a half late. Shit. I sprung up from bed, scrambling around to get my uniform on as Tony left to go outside. As I was putting on my socks, I noticed a mark on the bottom of my foot and ran my thumb across it. When I did, red immediately clouded my vision. I blinked a few times, but it didn't go away. It was like I was seeing through red-tinted sunglasses. Tony? I called out, stuttering as I hurried to put my shoes on. Tony, I called out again, grabbing my keys off the counter and heading out. Damn, dude, what happened to your truck? I didn't even notice it when I first walked in. Tony was standing in front of my truck with his hands on his hips, inspecting the windshield. My stomach sank as I saw the multiple holes spreading out across it. It was real. It wasn't a dream, I whispered. What? Tony turned to look at me, confusion etched onto his face. It wasn't a dream, I stated, realization hitting me as I quickly turned around. Jim, hey, what's going on? Tony asked as he raced to catch up. It wasn't a dream. It was real. We were in my backyard now. My shed was destroyed. There were dark patches all over the grass, and one of my palm trees was broken in half. The top half of it was in my pool. What the fuck happened, dude? Tony asked, in disbelief, as he continued to look around. I don't know. I thought it was a dream. I walked over behind where my shed once was, looking for the dark mass that had been glowing red light. Instead, I found a giant hole. It must have been 5 feet deep and 8 feet wide. Nothing else was there. No dark mass, and no red glow. I continued to stare at the hole, trying to put the pieces together of what happened in my head when I felt Tony come up behind me. He was waiting for an answer, one that I didn't really have myself. I was up late talking to Rich last night, I began, till like 2 in the morning, and after we hung up, I went outside to get some fresh air before turning in. But it was so bright outside, like unbelievably bright. And when I looked up, there was this thing flying at me, and then it flew over me. I didn't even have time to process what it was. And then it landed here and caused all this damage. So like a meteor or something crashed into your backyard? I don't know. I mean, do meteors glow? I asked, confused as I turned around to face my best friend. Then another question hit me, and it was so loud. I never even called 911 or anything, but I guess none of my neighbors did either. At least, I don't remember any police or firemen, and it sure as all would have woken them up. Yeah, that does sound really strange. And no, I don't think meteors glow. I think they're just rock. That's what I thought too. Hey, I don't even remember going to bed last night. Suddenly I became very lightheaded and lost my balance. To catch myself, I grabbed onto the railing of my pool steps. Whoa, are you alright? Tony was concerned now, moving beside me and offering his arm. I was concerned too. Why couldn't I remember past seeing the dark glowing object? How did I get in my bed? And why hadn't the cops or fire station been called? I'm not sure, I managed, grabbing his arm to help keep my balance as I stood back up. Tony patted my back a couple times before looking behind me and gasping. Oh my gosh. What? I said, looking over my shoulder. My jaw dropped when I saw that the metal railing I had been holding onto just a few seconds earlier was now completely crushed. You can't. I bet $100 that I can. It had been a couple of days since the mysterious crash in my backyard, and Tony and I were currently giggling and whispering like a bunch of schoolgirls at our favorite local lunch spot, Seminoles, Subs, and Euros. After I crushed my pool's railing, Tony had me try breaking the already broken off half of the palm tree with my bare hands. I was hesitant at first, not really taking him seriously, until the wood gave way too easily against my rough fingertips, and it splintered right in front of my eyes. Since then, we had been discovering and testing my capabilities. I now had super strength, the first. Next, we found out that I had infinite stamina. We were on a job site and never took one break or had the urge to drink water. The third ability I had was super hearing. I found I could hear every conversation around me, even if I was 30 feet away and they were whispering, but I could focus on one sole conversation too. The next ability was a little dangerous to figure out, but it was worth a shot. Flight. I was helping Tony in his garage, and he went to grab a ladder to reach something from the top shelf, and I got it. It just became weightless. I can't describe to you how I know how to do it. It just came to me like it was natural. And now we were discussing whether or not I could potentially be bulletproof. This isn't a risk you should take, Jimbo. Sure, you may have these fucking dope powers now, but... Tony's voice got lower when I signaled him to keep it down. You're still human. You don't know if you're indestructible. Yeah, but I'm not the same as I once was. I'm not like everybody else anymore. I can do things I dreamed of doing when I was a kid. I'm like Superman now, for crying out loud. And I know I could do great things with what I've been given. I just have to master them now. Learn how to control them better. And control includes knowing 100% what I'm capable of. I whispered with excitement. But you could get killed. What's the point in having power if I don't try to do anything good with it? Tony stared at me for a while. Well, more like glared. But I wasn't going to back down. Anyone with the abilities that I now had would be saying the same thing. They'd all want to know what they could do. It's all I wanted. Alright, fine. A buddy of mine is a retired cop, and he had given me his old police radio a few years back. Maybe if we get it working again, you can use it to find the perfect crime, and you can swoop in and save the day. And possibly see if you're bulletproof. Tony rolled his eyes at the last part before taking the last bite of his sandwich. Great, and if it works, you owe me $100. You're an idiot. If you die, you owe me your house. I smirked as I stood beside Tony while he withdrew $100 from the ATM machine. My hunch had been correct. I was bulletproof. I now had 5 of the same capabilities Superman had, plus I was $100 richer. And also, I stopped an armed robbery. I was at the corner store down the street from my house, getting some beef jerky and grape soda, when 2 guys came in and tried holding the clerk at gunpoint. When I stepped in to try to ease the situation, one of them actually had the nerve to try to shoot me. The moment the bullet bounced off my body, my vision turned red. I grabbed the guy by his throat, put one hand on his shoulder, and yanked my hand back, ripping his throat out. He tried to scream, but all he could do was gargle on his own blood as it partially sprayed and bubbled from his neck. I watched intently as he sank to his knees before completely collapsing forward. The second guy was frozen, shaking violently as he looked back between me and his partner before he made the smart decision and took off. The clerk, though she was terrified, managed to nod a thank you before spilling her lunch all over the counter. There, your $100. You were right. You still didn't have to kill that guy, you know. It still kind of creeps me out the way that you're so okay with what you did, even if he did try to shoot you. Look, man, I get why it seems fucked up. Yeah, it was a way to go, but I mean, come on, it was practically self-defense. He tried to kill me, and he was trying to rob the store. The lady at least thinks I did good. After all, I'm a regular. She's seen my face before. If she wanted to call the cops or something, she would have done it by now, I said, shrugging my shoulders. I guess that's true, but you really should be more careful. Yeah, now let's get some dinner. On me. I'm starving. With the help of Tony's police radio, I was keeping track of crime all over the city. Stopped a few car chases, helped a family out of a burning building, and even stopped a bank robbery. I did all of this anonymously, making sure to wear a red ski mask and bodysuit so nobody would know my identity. And yes, I did take Tony's advice. I was trying to be more careful. It just became a problem when my vision went red. It's like I couldn't control myself. I had the urge to harm, and it was so strong. Irresistible even. During one of the car chases, the police didn't see the passenger escape the vehicle when they were cornered. I decided to follow him into the woods. When I stepped out from the shadows, the guy looked taken aback for a second before he began laughing at me. More specifically, my attire. You look like a giant red Skittle, man. Now you need to move. And that's when he got in my face. That's also when my vision went red. I didn't hesitate to thrust my fist through his stomach, entangling my fingers in his intestines and pulling. The sound he made was unforgettable. The sound I would have found disturbing before, but now it fueled me on. I just kept pulling and pulling until it was like a pile of spaghetti at my feet and he was long dead. I took off when the illumination of flashlights began to show in the distance. Pretty soon, every time I put on that mask and that suit, my vision went as red as my anonymity. My heroic duties were filled with gore and rage. I caught a man pinning a girl to the ground in an alleyway behind a bar as she screamed and cried. I grabbed him by his feet and thrust him back against the brick wall, but I didn't stop throwing him against that wall until every bone in his body was broken. He was like putty in my hand. I'd meant to turn around and offer the girl my hand to help her out, but she was long gone. I didn't realize I'd been throwing the guy around for over an hour. I was now being held at gunpoint by a pair of police officers. Though red filled my vision, I managed to bite back the urge to fly away from the scene, even with the bullets following me. From then on, I was all over the news. Was I a hero, a sadistic vigilante, or a cold-blooded killer? How could they think of me this way? I was saving lives. I was doing the best I could with what I was given. Why couldn't they understand? I stopped going to work then, shutting myself out from the world. I broke most of my furniture in a fit of rage one day after a news channel gave me the name The Bloodluster. It was so stupid. It was so disrespectful, and it wasn't fair. That day, I stopped seeing normally. Everything was red. And I thought they did this to me. It was their fault. But I knew I couldn't go outside. I knew I was truly a danger now. So I laid in my bed for 4 days straight, not daring to answer any phone calls or texts. I was shutting the world out until Tony came to check on me. Jimbo? I heard Tony call from down the hallway. I mentally kicked myself because I'd forgotten he knew where the spare key was. Jim, where are you? Tony, I really need you to leave, okay? You're not safe here. Dude, what are you talking about? I'm not going anywhere. He was right by my bedside now. You have to leave. Jim, you haven't been to work since last week, and I've seen everything on the news. I wanted to make sure you're okay. I threw my blankets off of myself then, looking at him through the red as I sat up. I'm not okay, Tony. All I see is red. I don't know how to control it. I don't know what to do. I don't want to hurt you or anyone else. I don't want to be this thing that they've made me out to be. It's okay, dude. It's all right. We're gonna get you help, okay? Remember Nick, my next door neighbor? He's a doctor. He's super cool. I bet you if we explain the whole situation and everything that happened to you, what you've been going through, he can try to help. All we can do is try right now. But you're not alone. I'm here for you. Tony hugged me then, and I sighed. I'm so glad I could talk to him. He always had my best interest in mind. He truly cared for me. He was my brother, and he was going to go to the doctor with me. He was going to help me tell the doctor everything, tell him about my powers, tell him what I've done, tell him everything. Wait. I was blinded by red then. Before I could think twice, I had Tony in a strong hold and gripped his back with my fingertips, a rage building in my bones. Jim, what's wrong? I pulled back to look him in the eye, sneering as my fingers dug through his flesh and gripped his spine. His eyes went wide with shock, and he didn't even get the chance to utter a word before I ripped his spinal cord from his body, causing him to collapse against me. I continued to look into his eyes as his lip quivered with fear and pain, and the light left his eyes. You would ruin me. You know that? I screamed at his lifeless face, throwing his spine across the room, hearing the snaps of his tendons and muscles. You would have caused me to be a lab rat for scientists. They would have experimented on me. I threw his body off of my lap and watched it land with a loud thud across my room. So unnatural. His arms spread out with his legs curled up. I found him pathetic in that moment. In that moment, I just considered him another stranger trying to shoot me. But I know I'm not that kind of indestructible, because as I confess this to you, I'm sobbing. I killed my best friend that way. I murdered him in cold blood and watched the life leave his eyes as I tore his spinal column from his body. My brother was gone, and I was alone. I was alone with the red. I went on a rage-filled rampage that way. My vision was filled with red as I violently murdered every person I came into contact with. A homeless man, a security guard, even a mother in front of her own child. Though I hadn't been wearing red when I left my house, I was drenched in the dark color within an hour. I was a monster. I had no control. It wasn't until late that night that I broke down crying by the beach, letting the reality of my actions hit me like the waves were. I left Florida that day. It's been several weeks and I've taken refuge in a small hut in the Bahamas. I've kept up with the news. With so many witnesses, the world knows who I am and what I'm capable of. The largest manhunt in history is currently taking place. I have maybe a day, if I'm lucky, but I should have been stopped a long time ago. I don't know what crashed into my backyard that night, but I sincerely wish this had all been a dream, a fucked up nightmare, because my vision is now permanently red, I've found, and I think I'm the only one who can stop it, stop me. I need to save the world from myself. At least I can end doing a heroic thing. So this is to anyone out there who reads this. I've chosen my final words. With great power comes great responsibility and loss of yourself and others, but only if you let it. I'm never fucking disappointed. I'm never disappointed, and I love you, Tia. I am in love with you. Let's get married. Sorry, John. Sorry. The first thing I'm gonna say, I say this for, I think, a majority of the stories that I read, but that is not what I was expecting at all. The second thing I would like to say is that it amazes me that she could write about so many different things, so many different topics, and all of the stories are always incredible. All of her stories have such a wide variety. They're not all about the paranormal. They're not all about superpowers. It's like she can literally write about anything that she wants. How do you do that? How do you do that? I love you, Tia. Thank you so much for sending me this story again and allowing me to read it on my channel. Thank you for sending me all your stories and allowing me to share them with everybody. Happy belated birthday to your father. I'm sorry this is a day late. You raised an amazing child, a very talented child, and I love her and I'm so grateful for her. But other than that, I'm gonna go. I will have another scary story up this month once Tia sends me her Halloween story. But if you guys have any other stories that you want me to read, please send them to me. You can put them on the Reddit if you'd like. I think I do have like a little tag thing for no sleep. So if you have like longer scary stories that you want me to read like this, I would love to do that. Also very proud of myself because I really didn't stutter that much, and whenever I hop back into these types of videos, I get nervous that I'm gonna stutter or I'm gonna mess up a lot and I'm not gonna be able to, like, I don't know, put any emotion into it. I know that sounds lame, but I feel like I did a pretty good job, but I guess I'll find out once I edit it. But again, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye! Oh, that wasn't a good one. I was gonna get really proud of myself because I thought it was gonna be a good burp. What was it? I just wanted you to watch me in the song. Okay, I love you guys. Bye. See ya.